Welcome to the Housing Sector Podcast, episode 2. In this episode, I'm going to try and bring in a little bit more structure and format. The first episode was very much a housekeeping episode as to why I've chosen to start podcasting. This one, try and bring a bit of structure in, as I say. So we're going to have a couple of news items that you can familiarise yourself with, some useful links that might be useful to residents out there looking to get some support. And then our big story is based around raw sewage, blocked pipes, and what learnings we can take from this. All coming up in episode 2.
The Housing Sector Podcast, episode number 2. Blocked pipes, raw sewage, and what can we learn? News and useful links.
First bit of news. The petition launched by SHAC to create a new body to regulate service charges for residential property has had to close early due to the upcoming elections, with obviously government being suspended. However, during the time it was live, it has generated over 18,500 signatures, very commendable, and it has received a government response. A link I will put up there so you can read it for yourself, because it's as you can imagine, long-winded and yet says very little. There was the petition committees, the group of MP who oversees the petition system, has considered the government's response to this petition. They felt the response did not respond directly to the request of the petition. They have therefore asked the government to provide a revised response. When the committee receives a revised response from the government, we will publish and share it with you. And I, in turn, will share and publish it here with you. But I think that's a great start, 18,500 signatures. I think it would have got a lot more, and I think it's something that will be reopened again once Parliament is recalled and once I suspect Labour are in party. Okay, in other news, I'm going to provide a link here for the SHAC have provided a great resource for people dealing with service charge abuse. There are video support packages, letters you can write to your MPs, templates, yidle and yaddle. I really recommend checking out. I'm getting a lot of requests for information about service charges and how we can strike, how we can get out of, not about getting out, but how we can receive a fair price. Because, you know, as we all know, we don't all know, as many of you will know, you know, the price goes up and up and up, and yet the service we receive for this fee is often lacking and wondering. So a lot of people who are struggling to meet this, service charges are going up. It has become an abuse. SHAC have put together some stuff that can help you. I will be directing people to come to me through this one. Conversations I've had with people were really in uncharted ground. I've heard instances of cases being dropped once they get to court. There are many cases of housing associations, even customer service level, just threatening legal action until you receive it from their lawyers. It's not a legal action. It's just a threat, you know, and that's bullying, and that's not on. So my advice is to check out the SHAC resources. If you have any further questions, please mail them to me direct, support@housingsector.co.uk, and we can get them together. And I'll certainly be working closely with SHAC and with the people that I have had conversations with who are currently going through the process of withholding money. Now, I must add, if you are withholding money, put it somewhere safe. Put it out the way. Don't spend it. And the big concern comes here is we all know what happens. I've got a car going through an MOT at the minute, and all those advisories that I ignored last year are bound to come good this year, aren't they? So it's to keep that money safe. So if you do have to pay it back, you've got it. Don't waste it on anything else. Put it safe. Put it out the way. Don't be tempted to spend it. It's a long path we're on here, and I don't think it's something that we're going to settle or fix quickly. However, I strongly recommend checking out that SHAC. You can get the QR code here, the SHAC page here with all their resources. Another resource that SHAC have published is called the Golden Web, and it shows you just how incestuous the sector has become, with many senior leaders having their feet in many ponds. Now, look, this is something that happens in businesses throughout the world. If you're good at something, you tend to move, you stay within that remit and you build up connections and it's all there. However, I think this is becoming very problematic. My own personal opinion as to how pressure can be applied on external parties to prohibit, censor, ignore, hide. It's not good. I'm going to put another link, another QR code, perhaps it'll be there. A QR code here. And that will take you to the Golden Web article. This is also some information that I'm going to be exploiting and pulling more data out at a later date. But for now, have a look at that. Thanks to SHAC for that. Thanks to Suze, and thanks to everyone at SHAC. That's the news. In addition to the service charge support page that you can find and that I've put the link to, there is also, and hats off to SHAC, Saturday, 15th of June, they're doing a workshop for people to help educate so you can, as safely as possible, withhold service charges. I will put the link there. You can scan that on your phone with your QR code. The link will also be in the description. Failing that, you can go to SHAC's website, SHAC Action, shactation.org/events, and you can find that 11 a.m. Saturday 15th of June. Well done to SHAC for providing the support there. It's so noble, and it's a good cornerstone for anyone who is about to navigate what could be some very turbulent waters. Anyway, 15th of June, 11 a.m. Okay, into the main story for today. One that affects me and my neighbours. This has been ongoing since March of 23, so over a year. And while we can see that there are some mistakes that have been made, there are some behaviours that have also led to these mistakes being repeated. And we'll try and dig into it as much as I can. I warn you now, anyone with a faint stomach, there are some pretty horrible pictures to share. And some pretty horrible subject matter. And it is blocked pipes, raw sewage, and what can we learn from it?
Blocked pipes and raw sewage.
Okay, so the issues was reported back in March 23 when a resident who lives within the block of flats where I live here in Oxford reported that sewage was coming up from a toilet, up from the into the sink and into her bath. Initially, she called Green Square Accord in a panic, as you would do, and was told that no, it's blocked, it's in your bathroom, it's up to you to deal with. Now, that would be the case if you block your own toilet and you flush the toilet and it doesn't go away. That's a blockage. That's a block that you may have caused through too much toilet paper or putting stuff into your sink that shouldn't go into your sink. That would be the correct assumption for that. However, when water is coming up and out of the pipes, it's clearly not that. So what there should be is another questioning, and this happens in the fact finding. And this is one of the first learnings that we must take. There has to be more fact finding. It's too easy to say, and I don't blame the agents. They are targeted with wrapping up calls as quick as they can to get on to the next call. But there has to be more of an investigation at the first stage. Where is this water coming from? Is this sewage? How is this getting into your flat? What have you done? Have you contacted plumbers? All of that information can then speed up the process. That wasn't done. Unfortunately, this led to the occupant of the flat then seeking a plumber. The plumber came round and correctly said, it's not your block, it's water coming up. Therefore, it is internal, but external to her flat pipes that are blocked. And these are communal pipes that are shared. So that was the first issue. That was caused, and of course, the delay in the response went on. And all the time, this is a single mum with a teenage boy at home, and their bathrooms flooded with raw sewage. This is on the ground floor of the flat. Now, other neighbours had been reporting on the second floor and third floor that the drainage was very slow. And not only was the drainage slow, it would bubble up and our sinks would fill up with water and then go down. There were also strange smells emitting from sinks, toilets and baths. We were all putting sort of drain killer down to try and unblock and to remove it. So on the third and second floor, you've got slow drainage and bad smells. On the first floor, you've got raw sewage coming back up into the flats. Now, with that information parlayed to our landlord, you'd expect a pretty quick response. That wasn't the case. And I'm not going to pinpoint loads of emails and say, well, I should have done this, I should have done that. Here are some photos and here are some email email extracts we'll go with, for you to consider for yourself and for you to see if this first stage response was appropriate.
Email sent, March 30th, 2023. 2. Customer care subject. Blocked communal pipes at Maureen Christian. Dear Green Square Accord, I am writing to bring your attention to a serious problem that has been affecting many residents in our block for the past couple of years. The communal waste pipes in our building have been blocked for some time now, causing inconvenience and distress to all residents. Unfortunately, despite many reports about this issue, it has been ignored and left unresolved. Recently, one of the flats in our block experienced a terrible incident where raw sewage was forced into their bathroom due to this fault. This is an extremely concerning and hazardous situation, and we cannot allow it to happen again. We urge you to take immediate action to inspect and unblock all communal waste pipes as a matter of urgency. We understand that there might be a backlog of repair requests, but we cannot stress enough the severity of this issue. We implore you to prioritise this matter and take swift action to rectify the situation. We believe that this issue requires the attention of a professional and experienced plumber to ensure that the problem is resolved and does not reoccur. We kindly request that you update us on the progress of this issue and the steps that have been taken to resolve it. We also ask that you notify all residents of the building regarding the progress and timeline for resolving this issue. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Extract from email sent to our Home Ownership Officer on the 7th of July 2023. Now let's address the ongoing issues that require attention. Firstly, I would like to request an update on the blocked sewage pipes. Although a visit was scheduled for July 5th, we have yet to receive any information regarding the progress or resolution of this matter. It is crucial that all residents are informed about the status of the issue. Therefore, I kindly ask you to provide an update to everyone as soon as possible. Email received from Green Square Accord, July 14th, 2023. Subject: Update on repairs. Good afternoon. Following my email on June 27th, 2023, I wanted to provide you with an update on the works to the sewage pipes. When drain wizards last attended, they cleared some of the debris that had built up in the pipes, resolving the issues with backing up. Subsequently, they carried out another CCTV survey and recommended flailing and jet washing the pipes as a preventative measure. This process will remove any deposits that have accumulated over time and ensure the efficient flow of waste for several years. Although they were originally scheduled to attend on July 5th, 2023, they were unable to do so and have now rescheduled for July 28th, 2023. It is important to note that the pipework has been cleared and there is currently no known risk of it backing up again. Regarding the wasp nest that recently appeared outside Maureen Christian House, I can confirm that Total Pest Control attended today and have treated the nest. The wasp activity will cease over the next 24-48 hours. Unfortunately, the nest could not be moved, as it is illegal to do so. I hope this clarifies the current status of these repairs. If you have any questions, please let me know. Kind regards, David. Home Ownership Officer.
So, as you can see from the response there was a promise made by Green Square Accord to come and flush out that sewage pipe where the blockage clearly was. And this did happen. Eventually we had Drain Wizard, I think they were, Drain Wizard that came round and they did that. But they also said, well, it's going to affect this other pipe as well. So you've got a multitude of pipes down there. We've done one. You need to do the other because the flat's now 11 years old. And as our housing officer admitted in a later email, you know, it's part of the parcel. It's something we expect. So you've got Drain Wizards here unblocking one pipe. Why not unblock the one next to it? That didn't happen. And they got away with it until about 4 weeks ago. Actually, it's probably longer than that ago. So we're going back to sort of March now, where residents were again reporting slow drainage, blocked pipes, sewage coming in. And in our underground parking, we've got a basement parking, it was evident, and I will provide you with videos that you can see and photos, that leaks were again coming in. They were seeping through the concrete. What sort of structural damage that would cause, I can only worry about and wonder. So again, there were multiple calls made, multiple emails sent. Now, this is another problem that we have to now admit and we have to fix. lots of these emails were being closed. Oh, I see that's been resolved. It hadn't been resolved. At no point had it been resolved. We still had ongoing issues. We still had the leaks and we had the photographic evidence and videos. Here is the evidence of this leak. And yet I can show you, as we will go through, and the emails and the next thing, you can see that these were shut. These complaints were closed, dealt with, resolved. And then we have to call into question all of the stats that are shared by my landlord about how well they're doing. Look how many complaints were in 24 hours. Look how many emergency responses we made. But if you're not resolving the issue and saying that you are, that calls into question all of the stats that you're publishing. Transparent has to be honest. If you're just making stuff up, yes, you might be transparent to a certain degree to anyone who isn't familiar with the issues, who isn't going through it firsthand. But we need to call you out on that one. Look, why is this being closed time and time again? So there's the second learning. Don't close a complaint until you know it is. And if you are closing it knowing it isn't resolved, then that's kind of fraud, isn't it? And that kind of underscores why we need more transparency, but it needs to be open and honest. Okay, so after much fanfare and having published it online in LinkedIn and put on councillors, MPs, board members, not myself because that would breach my undertaking, other members of my community and my neighbours, put multiple people on copy, we started to get a response. And the response was that, yes, there are some leaks, there are some problems, we need to do it, we need to unblock this pipe. They sent one guy around in an evening, picture of him there. Bless him, came around, had to stand underneath a raw sewage pipe without any PPE and try and release the pressure so it would allow wastewater to travel through. God bless him, particularly unpleasant job. Once that had happened, it was then undoubtable that there was a problem with this blocked sewage pipe. And yes, it may be due to the fact that the building is now 11 or 12 years old and some people may be putting oils down their sink and there may be a natural build-up that happens over time. But we would expect a well-informed, well-established, reasonably large housing provider to be aware of this and to know, well, that's going to be coming up next year. So why don't we do some preventative measures here so it doesn't lead to online people like myself complaining about photos online, bringing shame to your company name. So when you unblocked it last year, you should have taken a preventative measure. You should have already been timetabled in to know that each of these blocks of flats that you own have a limited time where their pipes will be fine and then there's going to be a problem. Preventative measures. Prevention is better than the cure. So we've had that. And then also to go along with that, and I'm still not sure where the jurisdiction sits with this. Green Square Accord is saying it's up to us. Thames Water is saying no, it isn't. We have communal areas with stop clocks. Now, these have been springing leaks. This happened. This is one of the first things I reported back in 2016 when the cupboard, you want to call it, where the stop clocks are, had leaks. It was mould everywhere. Water built up and one of my neighbours was issued with a massive bill. So it hasn't yet entered her flat. Is she responsible for it? So Green Square Accord saying, well, no, that's Thames Water. Once it's there, it's nothing to do with us, Thames Water. But that one will come over time. However, so on a different cupboard, where all these leaks are coming from, down in our basement, there were multiple leaks springing from stop clocks. Here is a picture of said basement, said cupboard, as you can see that. Now, once Green Square Accord had unblocked the sewage and had established that there were leaks and had done their best to stop them, although their engineer, bless him, said there are multiple leaks and we need to do a thorough investigation. However, before that was allowed to happen, Green Square Accord sent one of their guys around with a spray to clean this cupboard and these hallways, hiding it. And then when he said, and this is another thing, I don't blame him at all, he was one of the voids guy, he said he didn't have a key, he couldn't gain entry to the building without a resident. Luckily there are some residents here. Now we as residents have had to buy these keys to open this cupboard because Green Square Accord didn't share them with us. And if they did share them with a resident years ago, no one has access to it. But you can buy these keys off of Amazon. This fella didn't have a key when he turned up, so he had no way of accessing the building, part of the building that he was supposed to treat with this mould spray. Bearing in mind, I'm not supposed to communicate with Greece Records. They put that in. They didn't want that happening. No, mustn't communicate. It's fine with me because it's like shouting at the wind. It's a waste of time, breath, and energy. Anyway, I took him round, perhaps breaching. I did email my lawyer to say, I've just taken this guy around. Do you think I've breached? She hasn't heard anything from Green Square Records, so we don't think they're going to pull that one. I showed him, took him round. He took lots of pictures. He said, I'm not happy to do this. I said, well, do you have PPE? Yes, he does. You've got lots of these spray bottles. Yes, I do. But it's going to disturbing the mould and the dust and whatever it is. It could be bad, it could be unsafe. This needs to be properly planned out, this job. I can't just be expected to turn up here on a whim and carry this out on my own. If I'm honest, I suspect he didn't want to spend 12 hours alone in a cupboard scrubbing a wall with sprays. And I don't blame him. So he then rung his manager. His manager said, you have to do this. He rung, not happy with that response. He rung someone above him. And I said, no, you're right to push back. This isn't safe for you to do. Isn't safe for residents. We'll need to plan it properly. And off he went home. Took a load more pictures. Took him around again. Took a load of pictures. Uploaded it to Green Square Records CRM system, whatever version of that they're on now, and off he went. Now, we have had people come back and they have scrubbed the mould away and repainted. However, the damp's already coming through, so I suspect there'll be another update to this. Now, look, things happen, things go wrong. How you deal with them is a true reflection of who you are as a landlord. And it's how you will be judged by your residents. It's how you will later be viewed by your residents. So, as you can imagine, having sent multiple emails, having been told multiple times that it was our fault, having had multiple instances where it has been closed as a case, and then had a cover-up job. And that's how it seems to us, a cover-up job to hide the mould, so people like myself cannot post pictures online on LinkedIn and share them with the world to bring shame upon my landlord in an endeavour to get them to respond. We now have to look. Let's say, look, we're here. Some of the basement. I can firmly confirm that the basement, there aren't leaks coming through the concrete anymore. So the issue, to a certain extent, has been resolved. Although there are still multiple residents with plumbing issues and sewage problems. However, now that they've established where some of the leaks are coming from, it is clear that some of these leaks were within residents' flats. So it does fall upon the resident to fix that within their flat. Now, we had the problem, about 5 years ago, where we've got this boxing from the sort of back of the toilet system into the drains for the sink and the bath. And my neighbour downstairs, bless her, she said, Ben, we've got water leaking into our bathroom from upstairs. And we'd had a similar problem where our above neighbour, the grouting, I think you'd call it, I'm not a plumber, had gone and water was seeping through there. So he regrouted that and that was fine. So I said, I tell you what, it's probably the grouting, I'll do that. Anyway, the following day she rang me and said, Ben, this leak's it's getting quite bad now. And I thought, I better go downstairs and have a look. And when I looked down, you could see it dripping through the lamp. At which point, I took up our lilo, the flooring on the bathroom, took that up, and you could see that the wood was sodden and that the leak was hidden in this boxed up bit, and it was just spraying and filling up. So it's a bad design. Who's to blame? Well, building up cheap, doing the cheap option, trying to hide things. But it now turns out that several residents, and one who has messaged me today, it's the same, coming from the same area in her bathroom, hidden by this box, and the water just hides because it just gets absorbed by the wood and then drips down. So there is some ownership to be taken by the residents, and they are fixing that on their own accord. I know one of them has had a plumber around rip out her bathroom and is having that done. We fixed ours 5 years ago. And it's happening, but it's the response that you need from the home ownership team, the team that we pay a service charge to. First of all, so look, you've got the gist of it. There are links now to two stories that have been published on my Green Square Accord resident support site that highlight that and have all the emails. You can read about those. Let's say we're done, and let's look at what we can take away from it with the learnings. What can we learn from this? Okay, so what are the key learnings that we can take from this? Well, as I mentioned earlier, the first one has to be you have to train your customer service guys to ask the right question. Now, I have a little bit of a mind to go, well, actually, it serves Green Square Accord's purpose if they have limited knowledge. So if they don't ask the insightful question, such as, when you flush your chain, does the water not just go away? Or is there water coming up through your sinks? The answer to that is it tells you whether this is a fault within the flat who's blocked their own toilet system or their own plumbing's blocked, or if it's coming back up, it means it's coming from other parties, other residents. By knowing that simple bit of information, we could have cut out days of waiting, false reporting, getting people to call out plumbers coming and doing checks which weren't needed at a cost to the residents. And there's an email going around this afternoon, again from our same housing officer, who's saying, oh, you need to have a proper investigation. You've identified multiple leaks within the building, and many of them are your responsibility. And now you're saying, well, no, you need to investigate that before we will. Surely there should be some sort of response here that goes, actually, let us do an investigation and let us establish where it is. And if the fault is within your flat, then we can make an informed decision rather than residents who don't have the money to spend on call-out fees for plumbers, especially when it's emergency call-outs and emergency drain wizards. They don't have the funding to do that. And we're paying a service charge. You have to look after the integrity of the building. If someone's reporting that there is sewage flooding into the basements, communal corridors, and their own flats, there needs to be some more insight. You need to think about it rather than just blame. Now, so this is a training issue, but it's also a culture issue because there's no empathy in any of these emails. Oh, some of you may be aware that there are leaks in that. Well, we're all aware because we've been reporting them en masse to you, and our cars are getting covered in water and the basement is flooded. So we're aware there's damp in our corridors, there's neighbours. We have a WhatsApp group where lots of people communicating, sharing pictures, which I'm sharing with you today. So we are aware. We need empathy. Now, there's a locality issue. There's no local office anymore. There's no local representation of Green Square Accord. The housing officer that we've currently got, nobody can recognise him. Nobody is aware of meeting him. Apparently he has been out to the flats once before. No one's aware. The contact we had before, she was pretty good, and then she moved up. But the real problem comes from his manager's manager, an interim employee that was brought in, and straight away an internal email, which I will share, has shown that she lacked any empathy, any customer service. And then throughout that, when the doors that we had weren't closing, she blamed the residents. It wasn't the residents, and that was proven. The magnets were failing and it was just a faulty door. The bin stores, she blames people for the way they use them. No, they're faulty bin stores and you haven't been able to replace them. Fly tipping, well, yeah, because we can't secure our things, but it's always blame the resident. And this has come from someone. So when she was interim and these issues were identified, you'd expect the HR department to go, well, perhaps she's not suitable for this position. But now she's been given that power, and now it's dripped down to our previous housing officer, who is now in charge of our latest housing officer, and this culture of blame, and misreport, close off complaints. It's now rife, and it's now at the point where residents such as myself have absolutely no respect for Green Square Accord. We feel like many do from many other providers that we're just wasting our service charge, that we are just a cash cow. And then you've got a complete lack of ownership. It's constantly blaming the residents for things. This is a cheaper option. It's a cheaper option to do. Blame the residents, have them fund a plumber that comes out. And, lest we forget, we've had plumbers come out and they've charged a fee, and then it's up to Green Square Accord to come out and go, oh, no, actually, that is us. And when you've got Green Square Accord running guttering to hide leaks in the basement, they're aware of the problem. You should have known what the problem was Last year, when you sent Drain Wizard to unblock just one of the pipes, there was no preventative measures there. There was nothing to do to well, this is inevitably going to happen next year. We'll prevent that. And when you failed to prevent it, when it did inevitably happen, which is this that we're in now, it has inevitably happened, we go through this whole blame again, which is exactly the same as what we went through last year. It's not us, it's up to you, it's in your flat, but it's not, is it? Some of the leaks have been identified in people's flats. However, many of these multiple leaks aren't, and Green Square Accord still haven't done anything about it. They haven't done a thorough investigation. They've come round, they've removed the mould and they've painted over it. And now if you look back, you can see the damp coming and the mould coming back through again. It is just a cover-up job. And this is probably because Green Square Accord don't have the fees to do it. They certainly don't have the local knowledge and the local response. The guy that came round and went home the other day was up from Swindon. And that's reasonably local for us. So we don't have that local presence, we don't have that local knowledge. We don't have a housing officer that's coming around knocking on doors going, do you mind if I have a look? Actually, that could be your responsibility because that's here. That would have been something, but there isn't that local presence. And Green Square Accord have made a big thing, never did anything about it. One of these things they published online. We're going to bring back a local model so we can provide that local presence. Hasn't happened. So they take money out of our communities, they exploit our communities, and they allow our communities to crumble into slums. I don't think it's good enough. It'd be interesting to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments. But for training purposes, have your customer service guys ask more investigatory questions. Have a local area, do site visits. And this guy who puts behind his signature, he's got the Chartered Institute of Housing, Certified Chartered Institute of Housing, the MTPI, what did we discover that was? Another member, the Property Institute. Well, I don't know how much he's paying them. It's 22 quid for the Chartered Institute of Housing. But what we're not getting is any empathy, any customer service. Now, remember, this is a debate. Are you residents? Are you customers? We want to treat you, we're our customers. We're our customers at the heart. We're not your customers if you're not treating us like customers. If you're not providing excellent customer service, you're not treating us as customers. You're treating us as residents. And when you treat us as residents and you blame and make us cost, we're just a cash cow to you. So if you want us to be customers, you need to treat us like customers. And I think that day's a long way off. There are lots more emails going around. I've just been to one of my neighbours' flats now where there is more leaks and damp coming through. I do think some of this is up to them to fix. I do think one of them is caused by the backlog that has been allowed to fester since Green Square Accord ignored it for 3+ weeks. Look, if you've got someone reporting sewage backing up into their flats, you need to send some, and it's a 24-hour emergency repair, and it needs to be sorted. And then if you need to bill the resident for that, you bill the resident for that, if it ends up being the resident's fault. But to turn around and go, that's nothing to do with us. Well, stop making us pay service charge. So it all links into service charge abuse. Anyway, there'll be more updates on this one. I will link to the 2 pages I've already published on the Green Square Accord residents website. Let me know what you think, and let's wrap this podcast up, shall we?
1. Train your customer service team to ask investigatory questions. 2. Only close cases once confirmed by the resident. 3. Prevention is better and cheaper than the cure. 4. Culture comes from above, be it positive or negative. Your staff won't improve your manager's attitude, but your managers will affect your staff's attitudes.
Okay, so look, it's clear. There's no clean-cut answers for any of this. And whilst, pipes are going to block over time, it's never the issue. Issues happen, things go wrong. It's how we deal with it. It's how we respond. And I think there's some lessons to be learned from this situation, as I do all of them. But that brings us to the end of episode 2 of the Housing Sector Podcast. How exciting. Thank you to all the kind words of feedback from episode 1, particularly to Victor and Lindsay. I am still using this microphone. I have I have started researching, and I found 3 or 4 that I like, and I'm now whittling it down, having the fun of shopping for tech, which is something I like to do. So I'm now whittling it down, and we'll have that ordered this week, and hopefully for episode 3 we'll have a better microphone. So thank you very much indeed for your feedback about not being able to hear me, and I hope I've slowed down speaking, although I do speak very fast. So thank you for that. And thank you for everyone, the response to it, and the hits that it got, adding them up here. 512 in 4 days, 4 or 5 days. Got to think when I did it. What day is it now? Monday. So 4 or 5 days. So that's been a great response. Been really happy with that. And let me know if there's any more feedback. If you think there's anything else I can bring to this to help bridge that gap and to help learn from situations that things happen. It's how we deal with them. Let's continue. Let's if we're going to treat residents as customers, we need to treat them as customers. I think that's the takeaway from this one. And the fact, if one of your customers says they've got raw sewage pumping into their home, it might be worth you having a little look yourself before you start passing on blame and closing off issues. There's transparency. We can't have you closing issues when they're just not resolved, and especially when they've been going on for over a year. Anyway, that's it for episode 2. I will catch up with you next time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for listening to the Housing Sector podcast. We hope you found this episode insightful and engaging. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and colleagues. Your support helps us continue to bring you the latest updates and discussions on housing issues. Stay tuned for our next episode, and don't forget to follow us on our social media sites for more content and updates.